The story begins when Mieruko, also known as Miko, stands under a bus station roof to avoid the rain, but because the shelter is leaking, her skirt still gets noticeably wet and uncomfortable. Feeling annoyed and slightly embarrassed, she suddenly looks up, and finds a strange and terrifying monster standing right in front of her. The creature stares at her, and repeatedly asks if she can see it, but Miko stays completely silent, and keeps her expression neutral, as if nothing unusual is happening. The monster continues repeating the same question over and over, yet she deliberately ignores it, and casually pulls out her phone to reply to a text message, pretending that everything is normal. After receiving no reaction from her, the monster slowly concludes that she cannot see it, and eventually turns around, and walks away. The moment it disappears, fear suddenly washes over Miko. Her body begins to tremble, because she actually sees the creature clearly the entire time. She realizes that what she just witnessed is not her imagination, and that thought deeply unsettles her. Later that evening, when Miko returns home, she prepares for bed, and heads to the bathroom to brush her teeth, but her mind keeps replaying the image of the monster from earlier. She worries that it might appear again in her dreams, and she considers keeping salt nearby, because she believes it might protect her from spirits. After brushing her teeth, she bends down to rinse and spit into the sink, but when she looks up at the mirror, she suddenly freezes. Reflected behind her is another horrifying creature, with a twisted neck bent at an unnatural angle. Her eyes widen in shock, and she quickly rubs them, to make sure she is not imagining things. She splashes water on her face again, trying to convince herself that her eyes are simply tired, or strained. She tells herself not to react, remembering how horror movies often show that ignoring something can make it disappear the second time someone looks back. With that thought in mind, she turns off the faucet, and slowly raises her eyes toward the mirror again, hoping the image will be gone. But the monster is still there. Its twisted neck remains in the exact same position, staring at her without blinking. Miko realizes this thing is not going to disappear so easily. Trying to calm herself, she walks to the kitchen, grabs a container of salt, and keeps it close to her for comfort, convincing herself that if she sees another monster, she will simply ignore it again, and everything will eventually be fine. The twisted neck creature remains in the bathroom for almost 20 minutes, while she tries to act normal. Later, sitting on her bed, Miko searches online for exorcism tips and possible ways to deal with spirits, scrolling through articles. Rain begins falling outside her window again, adding to the uneasy atmosphere. She even looks up information about protective charms, but exhaustion eventually takes over, and she tosses her phone aside, before pulling her blanket up to go to sleep. As she lifts the blanket slightly, her heart nearly stops. A disturbing creature, with a terrifying face, appears between the folds of the blanket itself. Miko goes completely still, too afraid to move or scream. The monster speaks softly, in a low voice, calling out to her in a disturbing tone. Miko immediately pulls the blanket fully over herself, refusing to respond or look at it directly, but the creature calls out again from the darkness. Inside the blanket, she trembles silently, and begins thinking that she will buy a proper protective charm the next day, no matter what. For now, she just needs to survive this night, especially since the salt clearly has no effect. The next morning, Miko checks her phone, and suddenly sees one of the same monsters displayed on her screen. Alongside the image, there is a strange message announcing that Mieruko-chan is now serialized. At the same time, an advertisement for Mr. Donut appears, with a limited-time 50% discount offer, creating a bizarre contrast between normal life and the horror surrounding her. As rain begins falling once again, she quietly thinks it might be better to return to the bus stop. As soon as Mieruko arrives at school, she immediately feels safer, being surrounded by normal people and everyday noise, yet the images of the monsters she saw yesterday still linger clearly in her mind. She cannot understand why she is the only one seeing them, or why they appear specifically to her. At the same time, something else feels strange, because she has not seen a single monster today, and she starts hoping that maybe whatever happened yesterday is finally over. Suddenly, her best friend Hana comes up from behind, and startles her, causing Miko to jump in fear, because her thoughts are already filled with disturbing memories. Hana asks how she knew it was her, and Miko awkwardly brushes it off with a casual excuse. Hana then notices how tense she looks, and asks why she seems so nervous, but Miko quickly denies that anything is wrong, while silently hoping she will not see another creature today. As Miko glances toward a nearby reflective surface, she suddenly notices the faint image of a strange girl in the glass. Her heart begins racing, and she quickly asks Hana if they are on the third floor, just to confirm her surroundings. Hana answers normally, and even checks Miko's head playfully, thinking something might be wrong. Without warning, the eerie girl-like figure slowly emerges from the glass, and positions itself between Miko and Hana. The creature softly greets her in an unsettling way. Hana notices Miko's frozen expression, and asks why she is staring at her so strangely, but Miko realizes she is locked in direct eye contact with the monster. Fear spreads through her body, yet she refuses to react. Hana keeps trying to get her attention, but Miko remains still, until the ghostly figure gradually fades into the wall behind them. Hana misreads the situation, and jokingly wonders if Miko is about to confess something serious. Instead of answering that, Miko suddenly asks Hana where she could buy a protective charm. Hana casually suggests she could find one at a nearby shop, like Don Quixote. Later, before basketball practice, they head to the changing room. Two other girls nearby are talking about a disturbing incident they saw on television. One of them describes a frightening case involving a severed head found inside a locker. The details sound intense and graphic enough to make Hana visibly uncomfortable. Hana begins questioning whether stories like that should even be shown on television. She admits that when she watched something similar during dinner, she became so disturbed that she lost her appetite. Miko quietly realizes that Hana scares easily, and might not handle the truth well. Hana then nervously asks Miko to open her locker first, half joking that she is afraid a severed head might be inside. Miko steps forward, while Hana stands behind her. When Miko opens the locker, she shows Hana that there is nothing inside. Hana sighs in relief, and thanks her for being such a dependable friend. However, when Miko casually lifts her eyes upward inside the locker, she suddenly sees a severed head resting at the top. Her body stiffens, but she says nothing. Behind her, Hana happily comments that she is glad nothing scary is there. Hana continues joking that in horror shows, sometimes when someone opens a locker, it looks empty at first, but when they turn around, something terrifying is standing right behind them. She laughs lightly, and asks if Miko understands what she means. Miko calmly answers that she understands, even though fear quietly builds inside her. A moment later, Hana asks Miko to grab her phone from the top shelf, because she cannot reach it. Right next to the phone sits the same horrifying severed head, with distorted features, and a disturbing expression. Miko quietly inhales, and tells herself that nothing will happen if she pretends not to see it. She stretches her arm upward, and reaches for the phone, trying to ignore the head completely. Suddenly, the severed head drops downward unexpectedly. Miko manages to grab the phone, but the sudden movement makes her stumble backward, and fall. Hana quickly asks if she is okay, concerned by her reaction. Miko forces herself to stay calm, but inside, she cannot help thinking that things might have been easier, if they had never talked about that terrifying locker story in the first place. When they return to the classroom, Hana suddenly mentions that she feels a strange chill, and thinks she might have forgotten part of her clothing in the locker room. Miko immediately reacts, and tells her that going back would be a bad idea. Hana casually insists that it might still be there, but Miko knows that when Hana starts talking like this, she is not thinking seriously. Miko also notices something else. She can still see monsters moving around the school, wandering through the halls and classrooms, yet none of them are interacting with her directly. She reminds herself that as long as she does not react, everything should remain under control. Hana says she might go back to look for what she forgot, but Miko quickly refuses, and suggests she just change into her gym uniform instead. Hana shifts the topic, and brings up the half-price sale at Mr. Donut, and Miko quietly confirms that she already knows about it. As Hana reaches under her desk to pull out her math book, something horrifying happens. Along with the book, a long, dark monster's hand slowly dangles out from beneath the desk. Hana remains completely unaware, and continues chatting about going to Mr. Donut after school. Miko freezes in shock, as she watches the creature's hand reaching toward Hana's body. The disturbing part is that only Miko can see it. Hana stands there happily, unaware of the danger wrapping itself around her. Without thinking, Miko suddenly pushes Hana's desk away, and claims she feels dizzy. Hana looks concerned, and asks if her anemia has returned. Miko quickly agrees, and uses that excuse to get Hana to leave the classroom with her. As they walk, the monster extends its legs, and begins wrapping itself around Hana's body. Hana jokingly suggests that Miko should lean on her shoulders if she feels weak, but Miko knows that is impossible. When they arrive at the infirmary, they notice the nurse is not there. Miko tries to brush off the situation, and says she feels fine now, but Hana insists that anemia is not something to ignore. Miko watches in quiet panic, as the creature continues clinging tightly to Hana. She knows she cannot allow it to stay attached like that. While Hana looks around the room, she picks up a stethoscope, and playfully says she cannot even hear her own heartbeat, joking that maybe it is because of her body shape. She then presses the stethoscope against Miko's chest, trying to check her heartbeat. Miko thinks this is not the time for jokes. Her eyes land on a bottle of sanitizer nearby. An idea quickly forms in her mind. She grabs it, and tells Hana that stethoscopes usually carry germs. Since so many students use them, she suggests disinfecting it first. Hana agrees without suspicion. Inside, Miko wonders if the chemicals in the sanitizer might affect the monster. She applies sanitizer generously to Hana's hands, convincing herself she is doing this for her friend's safety. When she suddenly sprays sanitizer toward Hana's upper body, Hana jumps back in confusion, and asks why she is spraying her directly. Miko mutters under her breath that she is doing this to help, and tells her to stay still. The unexpected result surprises her. The monster loosens its grip, and briefly detaches from Hana's body. Miko feels a small sense of hope, and thinks that maybe certain chemicals actually harm these creatures. However, in the very next moment, the monster reappears behind Hana, grinning with sharp teeth visible, clearly unaffected in the long term. Hana, misunderstanding everything, playfully complains that Miko did not even apologize properly. Miko feels guilty inside, and silently apologizes in her heart. Hana happily continues disinfecting the stethoscope, and insists on checking Miko's heartbeat again. Miko hesitates, but before she can stop her, Hana presses the stethoscope against her chest. At that exact moment, the monster moves closer to Miko's face. For a second, she stops breathing. She feels like this time, the creature might finally do something to her. Hana finishes checking, and casually comments that Miko's heartbeat is racing unusually fast. Just then, their teacher spots them outside, and calls them back to class, saying it has already started. Hana explains that they are not skipping, but the teacher does not seem interested in excuses. As they walk back, Miko notices something disturbing again. The monster that was attached to Hana now moves toward their teacher instead, and wraps itself around her chest area. The teacher continues speaking strictly, unaware of the creature clinging to her. Hana casually comments that the teacher looks attractive as usual, and always wears nice perfume. She then asks Miko why she seems so upset. Miko calmly says there is no reason. Inside, however, she wonders if maybe the strong perfume somehow drove the monster away from Hana, or if it simply chose a new target. After school, both girls go to the donut shop. The place is crowded. Hana says many people come because of the half-price deal. She adds that they need to stand in line quickly, before everything sells out. Miko agrees. She decides to push her anxious thoughts aside, and just enjoy the donuts. Miko opens her phone and checks the deals. The muffins look amazing. The chocolate chip donuts also look tempting. She sees almond rings for 100 yen, they look delicious. Hana suddenly notices that Miko is walking in the wrong direction. The line is on the other side. Miko stands near another line, looking confused. When she looks closely, she sees something shocking. She finds herself standing among monsters. They are lined up neatly, just like customers. Miko does not understand why the monsters are forming a line. Hana quickly pulls her back, telling Miko to stop playing with her phone, and pay attention. She warns her that she could walk into traffic, or fall somewhere dangerous. When Miko looks back, she sees the monsters moving toward a wall. A large monster waits there, chewing the smaller ones as they approach. The sight makes Miko panic. She feels grateful that Hana pulled her away, learning an important lesson about staying alert. They finally buy almond rings. Miko asks if Hana plans to eat them alone. Hana says Miko can have one too. She mentions the high calories, and worries she might gain weight, then asks Miko what she bought. Miko says she bought 3 almond rings. As they walk down the street, Hana notices a small box on the side. Inside, a tiny kitten sits alone. It looks like someone abandoned it. Hana feels instant affection, and says the kitten is very cute. Miko wonders what happened to it. Hana kneels and looks inside the box. Beside the kitten, a strange monster sits quietly with folded limbs. Hana does not see it. She gently pets the kitten, it licks her fingers. Miko watches in shock. Hana wonders why anyone would leave such a small kitten behind. She thinks about taking it home. Miko feels worried. The monster stays close to the kitten. Hana asks for Miko's opinion. Miko says she should not take it home. Hana remembers that her apartment does not allow pets. She decides to post a message online, writing that the kitten will stay at the park until evening, if anyone wants to adopt it. They hope someone kind will come. Soon, a serious bald man approaches them. His expression looks stern. He asks about the kitten. Hana refuses politely. The man stays nearby. Hana feels uneasy, and asks Miko if he looks dangerous. Miko does not think so. Another man arrives later. He says he saw the post, and wants to adopt the kitten. He promises to take good care of it. Hana feels relieved. However, Miko notices several cat-like monsters around this man. Their shapes resemble sharp claws. The monster that was near the kitten begins moving toward him. Miko becomes firm. She says they should not trust him. The man asks again, but they refuse. He eventually leaves, and the monsters disappear with him. The first bald man is still standing nearby. The girls decide to give him the kitten. He thanks them, and promises to care for it properly. Hana still feels unsure. Miko reminds her that people should not judge others only by their appearance. Later that evening, the man posts about his new family member. When he reaches home, he gently holds the kitten. The kitten scratches his lip, and a little blood appears. He still smiles, and places the kitten on the floor kindly. He calls out to someone named Mio. At that moment, the spirit of a girl appears quietly behind him. Several cats climb onto his shoulders. It seems the spirit may belong to someone he once loved. In his thoughts, he softly wonders if she likes the new kitten. The chapter ends with a calm, yet mysterious feeling, leaving a quiet question in the air. On Saturday, Miko sits at the bus station, waiting for Hana. She is not sure if Hana has arrived yet. She sits quietly in her seat. Suddenly, she hears strange laughter behind her. The voices sound mocking. They keep asking whether someone believes it, or if it is just a joke. The laughter grows louder. Miko lowers her head in discomfort. The ones laughing are monsters. They sit behind her with another girl. The monster looks like a strange human figure, with 3 heads on one body. Their constant joking makes Miko uneasy, because she is the only one who can hear them. She distracts herself with her phone. She messages Hana, and tells her that she will arrive soon. An announcement says the next stop is coming. The girl sitting with the monster realizes it is her stop. As she prepares to leave, the monster lifts one of its legs, and places it near Miko. It leans its face close to her. Miko stays still, pretending not to notice. The monster repeats the same question about believing it. Fear fills her eyes, but she keeps ignoring it. Another announcement tells passengers to step off carefully. The girl exits the bus, and the monster leaves with her. Still, it keeps staring at Miko for a long moment. Finally, she feels relieved. A girl on a nearby seat receives a phone call, and begins laughing loudly. Miko watches her, still trembling. When the call ends, tears gather in Miko's eyes. She feels as if she has done something wrong. She texts Hana, explaining that she accidentally missed her stop, and boarded the wrong train. She says she will be a little late. To calm herself, Miko goes to a cafe near the station. She hopes Hana will arrive soon. At a table in front of her, a boy sits, talking on the phone. He insists that he is not lying, and cannot wait any longer. Beside him sits a monster shaped like a girl. The boy says he loves someone on the phone. The monster girl sticks out her tongue, repeating the same words again and again. Miko freezes for a moment. The boy notices her looking in his direction. In reality, she is staring at the monster girl. She realizes that the monster girl is also staring directly at her. Miko quickly looks down at her phone, to avoid any misunderstanding. The monster girl stands up, and walks toward Miko. Miko pretends to stay busy on her phone. The monster stops right beside her. Its face looks twisted and dark, its tongue hanging out as it warns Miko that she cannot have the boy. Miko keeps her eyes on her phone, calmly showing no interest. Meanwhile, the boy begins to think that Miko might be taking his pictures. He keeps smiling at her. Miko ignores him completely, watching a fight video on her phone between 2 fighters named Anaconda and Naguma. A waiter passes by, commenting that Miko is watching Naguma's fight. Hearing this, the monster girl returns to the boy's side. Miko feels a strange mix of relief and tension, knowing the threat has not disappeared. Soon, Hana arrives, apologizing for being late. She explains that she boarded the wrong train by mistake. The boy overhears Miko's name, and smiles at her. He says he noticed her looking at him earlier, then asks for her number, suggesting they have dinner together sometime. Miko ignores him, continuing to speak to Hana. Hana wonders if Miko knows the boy. The boy grows irritated, because she keeps ignoring him. At that moment, another girl rushes toward him, apologizing for being late. Many monsters surround this new girl as well. They whisper possessive and jealous thoughts. The girl questions the boy. She suspects that he looked at someone else while she was away. The boy quickly denies it, claiming his loyalty. Miko listens briefly, but chooses not to involve herself. As she leaves the cafe with Hana, she notices a large poster of the Anaconda vs Naguma fight displayed outside. The next day, Miko buys several holy bracelets. She believes they will protect her, and keep her safe. Hana smiles, saying everything is available at the downtown shop. She holds a plush toy in her hand. Miko tells her that she already owns many plush toys, and does not need another one. Hana replies that the more she has, the cuter it feels. She then points out that Miko also buys many holy bracelets. Miko insists that the more she wears, the stronger the effect will be. Hana asks if this is some new trend. Miko confidently says yes, and claims she is starting the trend herself. Hana laughs, suggesting maybe she should buy one too. Miko immediately imagines protection around Hana, and gives her 2 bracelets for safety. Hana happily puts them on. In Miko's eyes, this feels like a good defense. Hana offers to buy her a sweet bun from a bakery around the corner. They walk into the next alley. The moment they step inside, Miko sees many monsters crawling out of the walls. Hana walks ahead, unaware, calling Miko to hurry up. The monsters stretch toward Hana, but as they approach her, they suddenly retreat back into the walls. Miko realizes the bracelets might be working. Hana excitedly talks about a strawberry bun, limited to only 50 pieces per day. She says they must hurry before it sells out. Miko stays frozen. A large monster suddenly emerges from the wall, standing directly in front of her. At that moment, her bracelet snaps and falls apart, the beads scatter on the ground. Hana calls out, asking what happened. She wonders if Miko's shoelaces came undone, and starts walking back toward her. Miko quietly wishes Hana would stay where she is. Fear fills her body, the broken beads lie near her feet. After gathering her courage, Miko walks straight through the center of the monster. She pretends she sees nothing. It is difficult, but she manages to pass through safely. Hana comforts her, saying they can return to the shop to replace the bracelet. Miko realizes that people who cannot see monsters can easily pass through them. For her, it takes strength, but she succeeds. Suddenly, Hana remembers that she dropped her plush toy behind her. She moves toward it without hesitation. Miko quickly stops her, rushing forward. She grabs the plush toy herself, crossing near the monster. When she hands it back, tears fill her eyes. Hana thinks Miko is upset because the bracelet was defective, and insists on going back to complain. Miko stops her, because she only wants to keep Hana safe. Later, they visit a fortune-telling shop that offers free consultation. Inside, a wealthy woman thanks the old shop owner, claiming that since buying a bracelet, many men have started chasing her. The old woman laughs, telling her to return if the power fades, mentioning the high price for a new one. The rich woman leaves happily. The old shop owner calculates her profit, feeling satisfied. She stores her money in a safe, planning to find her next customer. Then she notices a letter from her son on the floor. Before she reads it, Miko and Hana enter the shop. Miko politely asks if there is a holy bracelet that will not break. The old woman studies the 2 young girls, assuming they do not have much money. She tries to sell an old bracelet for 3,000 yen. Hana says it looks nice, suggesting Miko try it on. The bracelet breaks instantly. The old woman pretends the band was too old, offering another one. Inside, she plans to sell her leftover items no matter what. At that moment, she notices something strange. A dark shape stands behind Miko. She cannot see it clearly, but senses something unusual. She asks Miko if she has experienced anything strange recently. Miko calmly says no. Hana feels confused, unable to understand the conversation. The old woman slowly realizes that Miko can see monsters, and chooses to ignore them. She senses courage in this girl. At the same time, she notices that Hana attracts strange energy without knowing it. Miko asks again for a bracelet. The old woman pauses, understanding that Miko is not ordinary. For the first time, she opens her safe with serious intent, deciding not to cheat this young girl. She brings out her strongest bracelet, and gives it to Miko for free. She admits that the previous ones were only toys. This one, she claims, holds real power. Miko wears the bracelet. The monster behind her trembles slightly. Then, without warning, the bracelet shatters again, the beads fly and hit the old woman's face. Hana gasps, saying this bracelet broke easily too. Miko quietly says she might be tired of all this, suggesting they buy their buns and go home. The monster slowly retreats back into the alley. The old woman stands in silence, reflecting deeply. She decides to close her fortune-telling business, realizing that one honest act has defeated her greed. The next morning, Miko sleeps in her room, snoring softly. In her sleep, she murmurs words like, "Stop, stop." Suddenly, she wakes up. A dark shadow appears in front of her face. She stares at it in fear, freezing for a moment. Then she realizes it is only her brother, Suki. He leans over her to wake her up. Miko complains that he should not lean over her like that, saying he almost scared her. Suki teases her, noting that she was talking in her sleep, and asks if she had some kind of strange dream. Then he leaves the room loudly. Miko throws her pillow in frustration, sitting quietly. She admits to herself that she did have a crazy dream. At school, Suki talks to his friend. He says his sister acts strange, and rarely leaves her room. He mentions that he heard her saying, "Stop," in her sleep. A girl nearby overhears the conversation. She suggests that Miko might have a boyfriend. She says her own sister acted the same way when she fell in love, adding that girls sometimes lose control when they are in love. The word boyfriend shocks Suki. He feels confused and worried. Later, he secretly follows Miko. She enters a bookstore and searches for a book. Suki hides and watches her. He wonders if she is meeting someone, questioning why she would hide such a thing from him. He even fears that she might meet a bad boy. His thoughts make him angry, and he decides he must protect her. Inside the bookstore, Miko looks at a book about supernatural phenomena. As she puts the book back, she notices a monster's eye staring from the lower shelf. She calmly ignores it, and walks away. After she leaves, Suki approaches the same section. He searches for the book she was holding. Instead, he accidentally picks up another book from a lower row. The title reads 99 Ways to Please Your Lover. When he opens it, he sees a line that says, "Love bites are a sign of affection." He freezes in shock. Later, Miko returns home and takes a bath. The warm water relaxes her. She feels proud that she handled the day well. Still, the memory of the monster's eye in the bookstore briefly disturbs her. Suddenly, she splashes water on her face, looking toward the corner of the bathroom. A monster sits there quietly. Its back has the shape of a girl. Fear rises in her chest. She thinks the day was manageable, but the bathroom feels different. This space should feel safe. She slowly begins to step out of the bathtub. The monster stands up and rubs its face against the wall, muttering softly. Miko tries to stay calm. At that moment, Suki opens the bathroom door. He casually says they should bathe together today. Miko feels shocked and confused by his behavior. Suki quickly explains that he only wants to check something. He nervously looks at her shoulders and neck to see if there are any marks. After a quick glance, he says everything is fine, and turns to leave. Miko calls him back, offering to wash his back. Suki agrees. As she washes his back, he awkwardly asks if she has a boyfriend. Miko questions why he would think that. Suki says he is just asking, and that she does not need to hide anything from him. Miko calmly replies that she is not hiding anything. She then asks if he enjoys school. Suki says yes. While they talk, the monster remains silently in the corner, watching the wall without moving, unseen, yet present. The next day, Miko goes to a vending machine to buy soup for herself and her brother. She plans to get red bean soup for Suki. As she inserts the coin, it slips from her fingers, rolling under the machine. She kneels down to search for it. While looking underneath, she notices a tiny monster. It is very small, almost dwarf-like. The little creature grabs her coin. Miko stares in surprise. The monster quickly drops the coin and runs away. She feels shocked. She remembers hearing on television about small old man-like spirits that appear in strange places. She wonders if those stories are true. The tiny monster hides in a corner. Miko thinks it looks almost cute. She questions whether she is just imagining things again. Curious, she drops another coin on purpose near the same spot. She quietly moves closer, peeking around the corner. This time, she sees something much worse. A large monster sits there. Between its legs is a hollow space where many small monsters move in and out. Miko realizes the large creature looks old and powerful. She understands she should not have followed the small one this far. Fear rises in her chest. She focuses on her fallen coin, telling herself she only needs to grab her 500 yen, and leave calmly. As she reaches for the coin, the large monster moves toward her. Her heart pounds, she fears it might chase her. Still, she keeps her face steady, pretending she sees nothing. She tells herself to pick up the coin and walk away without reacting. At that moment, a crow suddenly flies down, grabbing the coin before she can reach it. Miko quickly stands up, trying to shoo it away. She calls out for the crow to return her money. Inside, however, she feels relieved. She knows she escaped safely. Even if it costs her 500 yen, she accepts it as a small price for her safety. When she returns home, Suki asks about the drinks. Miko calmly says her money was stolen. Suki asks who took it. She replies that a crow took it. Suki immediately says he will go get the money back. Miko quickly stops him. She tells him to let it go, because the crow saved her life. Suki looks confused, wondering how that could be possible.